faculty, friends, colleagues, and people I've still not met. It is an incredible honor to be up here today speaking before you all. Though frankly, I was a little bit surprised to have been voted in. I mean, you single-handedly chose the most average student to represent you today. That was a trick. But alas, here I am. And I can't tell you how happy it makes me to have real, tangible proof to show my mum I have friends. But with this incredible honor came an equally incredible burden to keep such a wide group of people entertained. I mean, thank you. I mean, those of you who know me know that the type of jokes I sometimes make would make excellent prompts for the professionalism station in the CPSA. Naturally, I was a little bit concerned. Surely my GMC number couldn't be the most short-lived in history, before the hockey boys. So I decided to look at videos of previous speeches to get some inspiration. I quickly noticed a pattern. They all start with this wholesome group exercise where the speaker calls out the different F1 deaneries, and people cheer if they're going to that deanery. It's cute, it's heartwarming, and gets everyone excited for what lies ahead. Unfortunately, due to the F1 happiness algorithm, or as I like to call it, the unhappiness algorithm, I can't do that today. Thanks a lot, Prof. Sam. All jokes aside, we owe a lot to Prof. Sam. It's rare that each student can say they've had one-on-one with their head of medical school, but we all can, and that is commendable. The same gratitude goes to Prof. Mary Morell, Ovid House, and Lydia Boynton, who met us from the very first day and managed to steer us through a whole pandemic while keeping the same standards for teaching. I mean, Imperial even made it to The Guardian for how well its online exams ran. Little did The Guardian know that our POM exam crashed 2 days later. And then in second year, our anatomy exam crashed. But who needs anatomy anyway? The answer to anything is always infection, inflammation, and malignancy. There's also Prof. Mirren, who has always given us advice, like how we must Clark one patient every single day of firms, or the importance of completing the pathology mentee quizzes. I personally cannot attest to how life-changing this advice is, because I never really followed it. But I can tell you, some people did, or at least in some way. So let me tell you a story. It's slightly embarrassing. In my third year, during my first one-night stand, the man who I performed certain dops with turned to me and said he had to leave. I know. I was a bit confused. It was 5 a.m. Surely we just spend the night. I asked, why are you leaving? And he very gravely said that I have to go. He cannot stay. I have to complete my Path Mentee quizzes. They matter. I thought he was blowing me off, no pun intended. But after being in 5th year myself and doing the pathology course, I realized, well yes, he was blowing me off, but that was a pretty valid excuse. There's also Chris John, Shohag, and James Moss. Now these names aren't just my dream ICSM foursome. They are members of faculty who from beginning helped us shape into the doctors. Into the doctors we're soon to become. They taught us the inquisitive nature of diagnostic medicine and nurtured our problem-solving skills. They also really, and I mean really, pushed us to develop our graphic design skills by making us do a lot of infographics. I mean, by the end of second year, I had done more infographics than seen or spoken to any patients. And lastly, our PVB and comms leads. When I first heard about comms, I thought to myself, I don't need any help, I'm European. I know how to talk to people. But that is until my mock OSCE, when I called a tuning fork a vibrator. I realized I do need some help. In regards to PVB, unfortunately, I can't say much, as I did not attend a lot of sessions. But at least I wasn't part of the people who wrote about scoliosis and mechanical back pain when asked about black pain in the exam. And so, first and second year came and went by, and I think you'll all agree with me, it was a steep learning curve in trying to figure out the duality of being a medical student. The fine balance of sports nights on Wednesday and anatomy on Thursday morning. Ministry on Tuesday and PVB on Wednesday. And being in bed compared to any LMAP lecture. Nonetheless, BRS, CSI, POM, PCH, and PVB prepared us well-equipped to be sent off to the wards. And 30 was a rude awakening to see if the FEO actually likes you. And this comes in the form of hospital allocations. You see, I got Hillingdon Hospital and Ealing Hospital, which is the equivalent of the FEO giving me the middle finger. It was also in third year we finally learned what faculty mean when they say us medical students are an integral part of the clinical team. I mean, without us, who would ensure patient confidentiality by drawing the curtains on a ward round? Who would keep the scrub nurses on their toes by constantly breaking the sterile field? We also experienced, for the first time, the struggle of getting signed off. Let me tell you about one of my firm leads. I won't name names because he is with us today. It was Prof. Singh. Now the upside of having such a high-profile consultant as this is that you witnessed top-tier medicine, and I did. However, the downside is finding them to get signed off. After 3 unanswered emails, I accepted defeat. But imagine my shock when that very same day, a good friend of mine casually brought up that he and Prof. Singh had exchanged season greetings over email. Class of 2025, I had just been ghosted by a consultant. A new personal low. Fourth year came, and it was a much-needed break from the chaotic time in the wards. I personally did the respiratory BSc. I loved it. Though unlike in pharmacology, where you get a first for simply existing, did I lie? I never lied. The respiratory BSc was hard. Points earned prizes, we learned, and those points you had to fight for. And then came 5th year. And back to the wards we went. 5th year was an interesting one. As someone who often learned physiology and anatomy by looking at my own body, ONG was a bit difficult. We Being a guy, I had no idea what I was learning about. But with the help of a scary but adorable retired consultant from Serbia, shout out to Mr. Dragovic, it all started to make sense. I just had to increase my exposure to clinical experiences, which can be hard as a male in ONG, understandably, of course. But I thought, for the first time, I had an advantage. I'm gay. All I had to do is broadcast that a little bit more. And maybe the patients might be a little bit more comfortable. So I put my LGBT-colored lanyard and went off to the hospital. To my surprise, it seems all the males in my firm had the exact same idea. It was a whole pride parade in that early morning tutorial. But nonetheless, ONG led to PEDS, which eventually led to psychiatry. And Imperial had an interesting approach to teaching psychiatry. They started strong with an introductory lecture on avoiding any bias linking violence with mental health, only to end with a very, very firm warning of always sit close to the door in case you need to escape, and never forget your alarms. Not exactly confidence-inspiring, but off we went. And it turned out to be a placement where I most learned about myself, which, to be honest, I'm not sure what that says about me. But anyway. I also cannot speak about 5th year without mentioning the pathology course. Now, I've been told Prof. Mirren doesn't like it if the student speaker badmouths the pathology course, so I'll move swiftly on. Final year, and 6th year was a sprint to finish off this big marathon. It zoomed past, and I think, for the most part, we all had our heads down trying to complete our jobs to avoid having a big angry sit-down with Omid House. Honestly, it came to a point where I was asked more times to have a meeting with Omid than I was asked on dates this year. 6th year was also the year I unexpectedly saw the competitiveness in our year come out in the most unforeseen circumstances. Of course, I'm referring to the Teams call Prof. Sam kindly set up for us to explain the new changes to the SFP. It quickly became a bloodbath. It was interesting to see, to say the least, how a small handful of students tried to desperately convince Prof. Sam that their 7 publications meant something. They don't. But at the end of the day, we made it, guys. We made it here. To this room, to this celebration of the past 6 years, celebrating what in the future we will call the good old days. But before I finish my speech, there is one thing I'd like to say, because I wouldn't forgive myself if I came up here and only spoke about the great, funny, and incredible stories of our time at university. The truth is, university isn't always that. It's also a time of hardship, a time when we felt overwhelmed and insecure, questioning if we're good enough as academics, as doctors, or even sometimes as people. We've argued with our housemates. We saw Slug close its doors for the last time. We watched our parents grow old from miles away, and for some of us included, we experienced heartbreak for the first time. But university also gives us the most effective vaccine against these hardships. I'm talking about the person who listened to you complain endlessly, wiped the tears off your face, and not only mourned your losses with you, but also celebrated your successes as if they were your own. I'm talking about your friends. Funny thing, friendship, it's essential for survival. In fact, I'd argue it is the truest, most noble, and most underrated form of love. yet we so often take it for granted. So if there's one thing I hope you take away from this speech, it's this: celebrate your friends. Because as we embark on this chapter, the truth is we don't know what lies ahead. And as exciting as that might be, we know it comes hand in hand with some difficult goodbyes. So today, thank them. Because I am certain many of you will agree when I say this: I could not be standing here today without my friends. I'll leave you with a poem from a famous Portuguese poet. The value of things is not in how long they last, but in the intensity with which they occur. That is why there are unforgettable moments, inexplicable things, and incomparable people. Class of 2025, please join me in a toast to the incomparable people we have met in these past 6 years. Thank you very much for listening. Have a